CBS News contributor and former Las Vegas police lieutenant Randy Sutton joins us now from Las Vegas. Randy, we know that Las Vegas investigators are following over 1,000 leads. How exactly do you weed through all of this?
Oh, the leads are going to be coming in hot and heavy, especially when they are about to do a campaign of billboards. They're going to put billboards up asking for probably a photograph of Paddock, asking anyone who has seen this individual to contact law enforcement. That's going to generate, without a doubt, a ton more leads. But really what it comes down to is there has to be a huge public dissemination here of what law enforcement needs. And right now, they need help. They need anyone who saw something to say something. It shows that there's, I would have to say, desperation at this point in locating more information because they just don't have much.
And Randy, we know they're working around the clock to find a motive, but right now, what are the major questions that they're really trying to get answers for?
Well, the major questions are, did he have help? That's one of the major questions. The other part of this is the answer to the simple question, why? And I've got a bad feeling about this, quite honestly, is that they're not going to find it. I think that there may be a possibility that this was part of his plan, that he's going to leave us with his last hurrah, which is, you're never going to know why. And this is within the humanness of this. The people who were so affected, the families, we have this burning question of why. We have to know it, and this may be his last way to control the situation by simply not telling us.
Well, Randy, I've never heard anyone say this in the past week as we've talked about this investigation. I want to ask you, though, about Paddock's girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley. She was concerned about his mental health. What role do you think that, knowing that piece of the puzzle, will play into the investigation?
Well, you got to be nuts. Who can possibly do something as monstrous as this if you don't have a screw loose? So there's no doubt that mental illness played a role here. Now, how much of a role? That's going to have to be determined by. They did find that he was given given drugs in order for anxiety. From this information that she gave about his night sweats and his night horrors, how much of a role did the mental illness play? In essence, who cares? What does it matter? The fact of the matter is that he took the lives of almost 60 people, that he injured so many others, and there is no excuse. And mental illness, we unfortunately have seen this play out in so many instances of murder and mayhem. But when it comes down to it, those people are dead. Yeah.
You're certainly right, Randy. We do factor in mental illness when we talk about these crimes. I want to ask you about investigators who are trying to uncover other possible plots by Paddock. Where are we on this?
That's very interesting. By the fact of the matter is that he had the tannerite, he had ammonium nitrate in other location, he had all that other ammunition in his car. Plus, the fact of the matter is, he was also scouting other locations, both here in Las Vegas and in other cities. So my question is, if there is another individual or individuals that did assist him, did he give him the information about these other places that he scouted? And that is a frightening thought.
There's also reports that the police are trying to interview prostitutes that they believe the gunman may have hired, possibly a call girl before the shooting. How do we know, where does this go from here with the investigation? What are you hearing?
Well, unfortunately, what I'm hearing is that there's very little information as to the motive. But when it comes down to the investigation, really the electronics are going to play a major role here. We're used to, as the new modern public, of seeing an episode of CSI and seeing within an hour the crime is solved. That's not reality. You have to understand that that getting into his telephone, getting into his computer or his laptop, whatever other devices they found during the execution of the search warrants, this takes a great deal amount of time. Remember, people's lives are on these devices, and law enforcement is going to have to meticulously go through every text, every computer message, every email to try and determine if there are other connections here.
Randy Sutton. Randy, thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.